And good morning. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, but we want to be live on all of our Facebook pages, which includes facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and the Mile High Huddle podcast, your daily Denver Broncos coverage. So we're going to bring them in so we can have the whole family under one roof before we get started here on a Victory Monday for the Denver Broncos. Welcome in, everybody. This is Broncos for Breakfast. It will be a solo breakfast. Well, for me, I'm here with all of y'all today. So cheers to everyone. Get your Lion Coffee at lioncoffee.com. Cheers to everybody. Appreciate you being here. It will be me this morning for the last time, not just me being here, but being solo. Nick will be back tomorrow, and that should be the rest of it for the rest of the season. It should be me and Nick. Good to go as we get going. The Denver Broncos were good to go with about 20 minutes left in the game. The first 40 were a little questionable. And then the last 20, the Denver Broncos came to life and took advantage of a team with a weak disposition who was going to give you chances to win. And they did. And the Broncos took advantage of it. So there was plenty to like. There was plenty to say, yeah, I know, but good God, we're still not any good. I understand. But there's two ways this team can go from here. They can move forward. They can spring forward and take advantage of this win. Got the Jets coming home, who were another questionable opponent. Move to 2-3 before you get into the teeth of your schedule with some confidence. Start getting some players healthy again. There's a lot of good talent coming back on defense here that should be getting healthy soon, whether it's K'Wan Williams, Baron Browning, Justin Simmons coming back, Josie Jewell. All of a sudden, your defense starts looking a lot better. On that note, I want to say hello. We go live every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 9:35 Eastern, 7:35 Mountain. And the reason why we go live is because we enjoy the conversation with y'all. So with that, I want to say hello to some folks that have come in nice and early, like David Yonkin. He comes in, he says, so Vance Joseph saved his job for now. A win is a win, but the defense is still a dumpster fire. And a win or not, speaking of fire, VJ, Vance Joseph should be fired. I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. How long do you give him? What kind of message does that send? I guess that's one of the morale factor. You know, if you put a team together and the first time things start going bad and you start cutting people like that, everybody else is looking over their shoulder. They're looking over their shoulder too, and they're not able to work at the best of their abilities because they've got one foot out the door, handing out resumes, thinking, okay, I need to be looking out for myself because this is going bad, rather than putting it together. That's my argument for keeping Vance Joseph. Not that I would say that isn't a problem. I was a little surprised there weren't more changes made coming off of a 70-point game, but oh God, it was 70 points and then 28 straight with 98 points in about 6 quarters. Yeah, David, I'm not going to argue out of it. Just saying another perspective on this. Duke Rose comes in. Well, the Bears just out-tanked us. Oh, that's a tough one to argue with too on that one. Again, I don't think the Denver Broncos aren't actively tanking, and coaches don't actively tank. The administration might, ownership might. Hey, I don't want this guy playing. He's hurt. Set him out. I want to see this guy's got a $30 million guaranteed contract and we're 4-11. If he gets hurt, I have to pay him $30 million, bench him. That happens. That absolutely happens. That's not what Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos are here for right now. They're really trying to salvage the season. The Broncos, I'm not so sure. I mean, the Bears, I'm sorry. The Bears, I'm not so sure. While they're not actively tanking, my God, did they get away from what was working in the first half? You can talk about adjustments from the defense and Vance Joseph and these guys all you want to, but bootlegs and crossing routes all day. It was pitch and catch in the first half. In the beginning of the third quarter, the first drive, it was as easy as you can get. And all of a sudden, it was run into the line of scrimmage and drop back pass. Run into the line of scrimmage, drop back pass. Do you know when I really noticed a legit naked boot for the Bears after things started going bad for them? They went naked boot right in Nick Benito, and it was a scoop and score fumble on the backside. That worked really well. And it wasn't even naked boot. It was more like design rollouts that were working with protection. You hear people say you have to move the pocket around so they don't have a stationary target. So that was a naked boot, which is a gamble, a big gamble when they were moving the ball pretty well against the defense. And they run a naked boot right into Nick Benito, and things go horribly wrong for the Chicago Bears. Credit to the Denver Broncos for coming back and making plays and doing all that stuff. But when you've got a 28-7 lead with 20 minutes left in the game and you lose, a lot of that's on you. Ask me how I know. Y'all know I'm from Atlanta, right? Ask me how I know you're complicit in giving up a 28 to single digit lead in 20 minutes. It's not just the other team. It takes two to tango on that one. Jeremy Sean says, morning, boys. Winners, Russ, Marvin Mims, Will Lutz, and short sleeves. Losers, Vance, rush defense, pass defense, instant replay, McFlinchy. That's the first time I've seen that. And the pre-snap penalties and long sleeves. Yeah, there were that touchdown. You know, when I was listening to the game and I watched the replay, and then the third time I watched it, they actually clarified the rule. And y'all probably knew this already because you watched the broadcast, but the pylon doesn't count for feet. It counts for the ball. If I tip the ball, then it's part of the end zone. It's touchdown, but it doesn't count for feet. And it was clear and obvious his other foot didn't touch the ground. He got one foot down and pirouetted and kicked the pylon. In that drive, there was a 15-yard personal foul on their linebacker, Jack Sanborn, that was a little questionable too. When you've got two teams like this that are as bad as these are, you're going to see some questionable stuff. There were 5 false starts for the Denver Broncos. McGlinchey had 2 of them. There were 4 from the Chicago Bears. The pre-snap stuff. And said that last week. What could you expect? You could expect to see some ugly football. That said, though, there were some really good things that I saw in this game on offense. But is that just bad defense? If the offenses could get out of their own way, they were having success. That was pretty much, it was a lot of self-inflicted wounds on offense. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit and say hello to some more folks. Dominique Martin says, hey, Nick and Scott, morning to my Broncos family. Mile high salute to whomever it may concern. Finally, it's a win, but this defense makes me nervous. Every QB looks amazing against them. I think Justin Fields was 15 for 15 with 3 touchdowns in the first half. His only incompletion was a Hail Mary. Goodness. Making him look good. He's a talented guy. I'd really like to see him get another shot somewhere else. And I think we're going to get that chance because the track that the Bears are on with the number 1 or number 2 pick, they're drafting a quarterback, and Justin Fields will be available to someone else and a fresh start because he's clearly talented. I mean, you see all the tools. You see it within the structure of the offense, he's really good. Jeremy follows up and says, at 28-7, I was convinced Vance was fired. We pulled a miracle, and now we have to keep him another week or two. And yeah, who's coming up next? Is it Jets? The Jets are coming next. I'm week to week on a lot of these things. So you've got Jets at Chiefs, Packers, Chiefs again, at Bills. Realistically, you're hoping for 2-2. I mean, what's the best case scenario? Without saying, okay, well, I'm expecting 4-0. Okay, no, you're not. What would you consider good? What would you take right now? If I offered you 2-2, would you take it on that? And then you're still looking at what? Let's say you're 2-2. You're looking at what? Then 3-5. It's not looking a lot better. All you're doing is knocking yourself down from a top 5 pick to a 8-12 pick on that one. James Hyatt has come in. So I want to burn those orange jerseys after that mess in Miami. I really don't care to see those orange jerseys again. Kevin Gray, good morning. Good. He says, mile high salute to Broncos country. Denver Broncos for life. Good morning to you as well. Jamal's come to see us. Says, good morning, Broncos country. We finally got a win. Diamond Rattler, he's feeling better today. Boom, let's go. Donald Willison, good to see you. He says, good morning, Broncos country. Good morning, Nick and Scott. And like I said, Nick will be back on tomorrow. So when we go and look through the game again, with his perspective, he will be back tomorrow. String Guy coming in says, good morning, all. Colin Wood says, what is this reluctance about getting Mims and McLaughlin more involved? These are the guys that are making plays. I don't know. Part of it was Javonte Williams. And then once Javonte Williams went out, McLaughlin was in there more often. Where did Mims finish as far as targets go on that game? I felt like they at least tried to get him a slip screen on that one, trying to get him the ball. So he finished with just 2 targets. He had 1 long catch and then 1 behind the line of scrimmage, just 2 targets. 5 targets for Jerry Jeudy, 5 targets for Courtland Sutton, 2 for Marvin Mims. I don't know. Get him the ball. Yep, I agree with you on that one. I haven't seen the snap counts yet. They haven't come out. I was interested because last week they only had 15 snap counts for he's been averaging about 15 snaps per game on offense. Yeah, that's not enough. Corey John says, I think Peyton said if we decide we want to win more games, that's not a tanking thing. That's a shot at the effort from his team. If these guys decide they want to be here, if they decide they want to play, that's pretty common coach speak. That's a shot at his team. That's a motivational shot. I could tell when I was coaching youth baseball, I could tell in warmups which team had shown up. It's a lot easier because there's a big difference between, grown men and 11. I was like, these guys aren't here to play. That's just a fairly common phrase. Ryan coming in. He says, good morning, Broncos country. Everyone say with me, start Nick Bonito over Gregory. The kid can play and is only getting better. He is. He did start the past 2 games. He had almost 50% more snaps over Gregory against the Dolphins, and he did start. Him and Cooper were the start. If he didn't start, he was in. I'm almost positive he started, but I know he was in more than Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory's effort level was considerably better in this game. His effectiveness was not. So just watching, I've been really critical of Randy Gregory. I know I'm not the only one, but I don't listen to everybody else. So it's usually a fairly, unbiased opinion, unbiased by outside factors other than just what I see. I was biased against Randy Gregory coming in because his attitude and effort have been crap. Watched him closely. I thought the effort was good. You can tell when he's getting blocked, he's chasing down plays from the backside. He's getting involved in piles. The effort was good. The effectiveness as a pass rusher was not. On Nick Bonito had a good game, and you want the athleticism there to take advantages of blown blocking assignments. But when he was in the backfield, he really wasn't getting touched. He was coming in free. So Nick Bonito had a really good game, and obviously you're not expecting 2.5 sacks per. But one of the things that I really liked about him in the very first drive, he sealed an edge. I know it sounds crazy, but he took on the left tackle, sealed an edge, forced it back inside, and then he did his job. Then if he's coming in untouched on Justin Fields, hey, he's making sacks. His sack in the first half was untouched. That naked bootleg that came right to him on the fumble, untouched again. But he's got the athleticism to take advantage of that. That's a good thing. Randy Gregory has been ineffective, and Bonito is getting more snaps than him. Michael Evans says, well, the Broncos won, but did they really? Yeah. Broncos country, does it feel like a win today? Does it feel like a win? I think it does, especially when you come back from 28-7 to come back and win. You're like, okay, these guys do care. That's when I've given up on teams for the season. As I've told y'all, this is a job for the professionals. It's a job. You will outlast them. You will be Denver Broncos a lot longer than Russell Wilson. You will be Broncos longer than Sean Payton. It's a job. Every once in a while, when you've been around as long as I have, you see a team that is just flat out freaking quit. And you're like, you know what? To hell with these guys. They're going to be gone in a year. I'm not putting forth my emotional effort into this team. I'm going to just kind of chill and I'll wait for next year when these guys are gone. If they don't care about being Denver Broncos, why should I care about them? because I will be a Bronco longer than them. So, Michael, I think what the big takeaway here is this is a team that still cares about going out there and winning football games. And for that, applaud them. Effort and attitude, man. Effort and attitude. I will not get on a guy for not being good enough. I will get on a guy if he's going out there and not playing hard enough. These are professionals, even the amateurs. Like I said, youth baseball, youth soccer. I have a problem with effort and attitude. Wang says, I can finally show my face again. That's good. Good morning, Scott. Where Jeremy had a comment in here about the officiating going and going after Sean Payton and trying to get him every chance they could. I had a conversation after the show last night with Chad and Zach. They were saying, I don't like this clear and obvious replay rule. And I'm like, golly, I disagree completely. I'm like, man, the replay should be 15 seconds. Put a 15-second clock on it. It was never meant to re-officiate games. Otherwise, they take too long. Go watch a first and goal series from the 5 in college football. It is, if they run it into the pile, into the goal line 4 times, it can take 15 minutes. It's absolutely brutal to watch. Oh, we can't tell. It's a big scrum. Yeah, no kidding. That one was clear and obvious, y'all. That was easy. I only needed one play, one replay in 15 seconds. Say, hey, that guy was in the air, and while he was spinning, his foot never came down. He kicked the pylon. The pylon doesn't matter. Gene Tessitore said that during the broadcast. The pylon doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. He's out of bounds. Yeah, that's clear and obvious. Unfortunate thing is there's human beings still making the decisions on what is clear and obvious, and it's amazing. Baseball's worse, y'all. Baseball's awful. It's amazing how badly and how often they still screw it up with a judgment call like that. Troy coming in. Good to see you, Troy. Thank you for breaking the ice on the super chat this morning. I appreciate you coming in yellow for me today. He says, hey, Scott, happy with young guys. Hope we can move Gregory and Sutton for the cap space. Sign Smith. Get back Simmons, Jewell, Williams, Browning, Locke. Dulcich, always happy with the Broncos win. Which Smith? Who am I forgetting on Smith? I know the Williams, K'Wan Williams, Javonte Williams, Jones. I'm missing a Smith. For some reason, that one's passing my mind for who to sign. But yeah, Simmons, Jewell, Williams, Browning, PJ Locke, Scott. Thank you. That's Lockie, not the other one. And Greg Dulcich. Yeah, look at the players that could come back, and all of a sudden your depth. Because not only do you, when you have an injury, it doesn't just make that position worse, it makes the other position worse. So you're getting worse in 2 spots when I have an injury. If I have Turner Yell coming in for Simmons, I get worse there. And then when I have to rotate, and it's not so much in the defensive backfield, it really is in the front 7 edge, especially. The front 5, especially with that heavy rotation. But I get worse in my first unit, and then I have to move somebody up to the second unit who isn't as good as the guy I had to move out of the second unit. So it really hurts 2 spots. So getting that depth back in there is so important. And, the talent, the playmaking, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully, Javonte Williams hopefully just had a hip pointer and, not a strain or anything in there, just a knock, a helmet on the hip or whatnot, and he'll be okay. But it would be good to get Dulcich back and get Mims more involved. Judy looks good. Sutton looked good. Offense, and frankly, y'all, Russell Wilson looked great. I know it was the Chicago Bears, so we're going to, have these questions and everything, but he was making throws with guys in his face with pure arm talent on the run. Russell Wilson looked great in this game. If nothing else comes out of this, I think you've got a tradable asset. If you decide to burn it all down, I think you can get some money back from his contract and a day 2 pick if you decide you need to move Russell Wilson. So that is the worst best case that could come out of this thing. Michael Ranquillo, and thank you, Troy. I appreciate the support, my friend. Hope to see you here in a couple of weeks. It is October. That means we're really getting close to the meet and greet. I think that's in 3 weeks. Michael Ranquillo says, good morning, Scott. I'm Broncos for breakfast. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate your support on both shows. Greg Smith says, good morning, Broncos for breakfast. Good morning, Greg. Let me see this. Ryan Thompson saying, good morning. Good morning. String Guy says, the Jets came close to beating the Chiefs last night. It won't be an easy game for Denver. Yeah. How about that? Only 2 wins that the Jets would have are the Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills. Go figure. Sounds like a motivation problem, doesn't it? Zach Wilson played good. If you get, they're a good enough team that if you just don't have Zach Wilson lose the game, they're going to be dangerous. That's certainly not a gimme. Got easier than with Aaron Rodgers there, that's for sure. But that's no gimme coming up. Nick and I will go into that game extensively later. Derek says the pass rush is top 10 yesterday. I think the results, as far as a couple blown assignments leading to a couple sacks, but I don't see guys beating the man in front of them very often. So while you may have gotten to the quarterback, a lot of that is because of blown protections and blown assignments from the Bears, as opposed to my guy beating your guy. So I don't see. I think that's still a big problem with this team. Is the pass rush, unfortunately. And as Ryan says, it would be nice to have all of these guys back when we play the Chiefs. Yeah, it would, and hopefully you're not losing guys long term, and you're getting some of these guys back. That could make a big difference for this team to be going out there with a full stack, especially on defense. K'Wan Williams is a very underrated loss. Baron Browning is a guy that can get to the quarterback on his own. Justin Simmons, Turner Yell played better, and he was going to be better against the Bears than the Dolphins. Everybody was on defense for the most part, but he's not Justin Simmons. So that makes a difference. Well, Josie Jewell makes a difference out there. I don't want Drew Sanders to have to be thinking. I want to put him in obvious situation. We call them, this is a 3rd and 8. It's obvious. They have to pass. I want it to be obvious. I want to limit his decision-making out there while he's a rookie. So Josie Jewell helps this team as well. Derek Kincaid's thoughts on Javonte Williams. Like I said, hopefully it's just a hip pointer. Hopefully he took a helmet there. I haven't seen too much of it since then. I know they said questionable at first and then ruled 2 out as it went. Ryan Thompson says we need to fix the O-line. That Jets defense looks good last night against KC. The Jets defense looks good against everybody, especially in that front line. Their front line is going to be, let me see. Before I say this, I want to say just off the top of my head, it's going to be the best front line you've faced. Raiders, yeah. Commanders, close. Dolphins, good. Bears. Jets are going to have the best front 4, front 5 of any team that you've seen so far. So it's going to be tough. The defense is going to have to step up. You can't count on getting 31 points against them, and you're going to have to get the ball back to your offense and work your way through. Gary Palmer coming in green. I appreciate the super chat, my friend. Says, good morning, Scott. I feel better today, but the D sucked for most of the game. Even Patrick Surtain was playing bad. I don't remember seeing Pat Surtain on the wrong end of too many throws, though. I will start watching. I'll tell you what I will start doing is I will start watching body language, effort off the ball. Is he coming in and, making tackles? How is he doing in run support? Those are the kind of things that start telling me about a player's mental attitude. Is he checked in? That if we decide, calling back to just a few minutes ago, we said, if we decide we want to win more games, that's the kind of stuff you're looking for. If he's blocked on the edge and it looks like the play is contained, is he let himself stay blocked? Or is he fighting through it in order to get in on the tackle? Those kind of things. Those are the kind of things, as some criticism has started coming towards Pat Surtain, those are the kind of things I'll start watching. We haven't had to worry about that too much, have we? Unique prepping just to support MHH and Broncos country. Still have positivity in Sean Payton. Just need Vance Joseph set in his place, which would probably be over in the corner. And unique prepping. Sorry about my Falcons prediction, but I tried to hedge and let you know that, listen, you don't know right now with this team. And I didn't expect Jacksonville to have a stinker 2 games in a row, and they played considerably better. And the Falcons can't throw their way out of a wet paper bag right now, becoming one-dimensional. So apologies for that one. So hopefully your fantasy game and your stuff still worked out good for you, my friend. Colin Wood says Sam Howell gave the Eagles all they wanted yesterday, so maybe it's not just us. Still stuck to blow a lead like that. Sam Howell's playing great. He is playing really, really well. So A lot of moxie there. That's one of those chip on your shoulder, undersized guys who has to do everything a little bit better than everybody else because he doesn't have the tools. When you are a 6'1" quarterback, you've got to do it better than the guy who's 6'5" that walks in, the first guy off the bus. You've got to be significantly better than that guy. Otherwise, ask Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was when Russell Wilson was coming out of high school, I put like 2 stars next to his name because I'm like 5'10" quarterbacks who are high round baseball players. They play baseball. I was shocked that he went out. So Sam Howell is a hell of a quarterback. He's doing really well, and we'll get more into that. We'll get more into that for sure. If Riley Moss is 100%, does he start over Mathis? Great question, Tyrone Young. Probably not right away. Coaches like to say, you'll hear Peyton say it, you'll hear all of them say, you can't go from 0 to 100 when you've been out for this long. So I would think if he's 100%, and you don't get 100% in your first game, you've got to play your way into being 100%. I had this discussion online, someone about Kyle Pitts, that Arthur Smith has hinted that he's not 100%. And they're like, well, if he's not healthy, then he shouldn't be out there. That's different. You can be healthy and not at 100% of your peak. Look at baseball. Guys take a month coming off of, if they've been out for a while, it may take them a month before they lock in and get their swing back. And they play every damn day. So Riley Moss, when he comes back, don't expect him to get 60 snaps. Even if he was a starter, he might come in and get 15 to 20, 8 to 10. Get him out there, get back in the game, get yourself back into playing shape for the second half of the season. Dom says the defense is still the worst in the league. You probably would have an argument with the Bears on that one. And Isaac says top 5 pick and trade back. The problem with that one is after the first 3, you've got to find someone willing to come up. You want to say, yeah, trade back, but it's hard to trade back out of that spot unless there is an elite prospect, and there might be, who needs a left tackle. There's not necessarily the edge guy in there. The first 3 are trade up candidates, 1 and 2. And then 3 is probably Marvin Harrison Jr. Those 3 are fairly well locked in. Those are trade up candidates. But after that, you're at 4. Again, unfortunately, I'll reference the Falcons again because 2021, they had the 4th pick in the draft. The 3 quarterbacks went 1, 2, 3. And then the 3rd pick was the trade for Trey Lance, where the 49ers sent the Dolphins or the Eagles. I can't remember who it was because there was a bunch of 3-way trades in there. Sent them, I think it was the Dolphins, sent them 3 number 1 picks. And it was the Eagles. Hell, I don't know. I'm getting confused going here by myself. The number 3 pick ended up being 3 first-round picks. And then at number 4, you're sitting there going, okay, no one wants to trade up anymore because 4 through 11, I had an opposite problem that time. 4 through 11 through 12 were all really, really good players. Why am I going to trade up to 4 when I can get a beast at 9, when I can get Pat Surtain at 12, 13, when I can get Micah Parsons at 11? I don't want to trade up 4. So we'll see. But yeah, I would be team trade back for this team as well and accumulate more draft picks if possible. The way things are going right now. Ruben says, I said this last week, we'd beat a crappy Bears team, crappy Jets team, then people will say we're back, and then we play the Chiefs and get our butts whipped again, back to reality. Yeah, Ruben, that's not exactly a hot take. Again, you need to beat the Jets, and then the next 3 games after that become Chiefs, Packers, Chiefs, Bills. That's a tough slate coming up in your next 5 games. There's not a gimme in that bunch. Not that any of them are gimmies, for goodness sake. I want to make sure I've gotten all my super so far. I believe as I'm scrolling down, I'm about 15 minutes behind in the chat as I work my way down. So I apologize if I'm missing you. James says, "Great, Randy Gregory got paid, so he's basically going through the motions." Again, I saw the effort yesterday. I don't think he's very good at getting off blocks, plain and simple. He's fairly easy to block with one guy. He gets a lot of his stat plays on pursuit, on backside, on hustle, on coverage, where the quarterback has to hold it for an extra tick because the coverage downfield is good. And here comes Gregory after the left tackle had held his initial block for long enough to do his job. He won't be a Bronco next year. That's pretty much the way I feel about that one. Mark says, I don't trust either Sutton or Judy. Don't have a lot of choice on that one right now, though, dude. You can go Mims. Brandon Johnson's okay, but, Sutton and Judy are a step above those guys. I thought Judy played a good game. He made a hell of a catch in the first half on that. I think it was that touchdown drive. Snatch one. I know he had another a drop on the outside, but I thought Judy's been playing pretty well. And the run blocking hasn't been all that bad either. Again, the false starts for both teams were just silly. 9 of them. Come on, man. Let me see here. We'll move down here a little bit. Gonna try and say hello to some folks we don't always see, like Alex. Is it me or is the NFL trying to make everyone hate the Chiefs with all the pandering and giving them calls? Or is it everyone that hates the Chiefs only remembers the calls that go in their favor? No, I'm teasing. I didn't watch that game. I didn't watch that game yesterday, so I didn't see how many of them went. What I do know is it's human nature to remember the good and not the bad. Again, everybody remembers on that same drive the touchdown that hits the pylon, but nobody wants to mention the questionable personal foul call on the sidelines. Again, that went against the Bears earlier in that drive for Sanborn hitting, I think it was Beck or Burton, the fullback, coming out on a dump off. Man, that was an everyday tackle. I don't get that one, and people forget that stuff. That's human nature. If we had made this play, we would have won the game. Well, hell, they missed 3 plays too. If they had made this play, we'd be in the same situation. So I didn't watch that game to say too much about it. Let's see. Our offense averages 25th, by the way, while the defense is giving up 37.2 points per game. When 28, you go down from 28 K-Hop, you get 28 points scored against you and your average goes down. That's not always good. 25 points per game is solid. It is solid. Expert Ninja says Sean Payton needs to realize what he has in Judy and Mims, since they both get not enough targets. I understand spreading the ball, but you need to make plays for your top wide receivers. Slip screens, et cetera, and I did notice, y'all have heard me talk about screenplays a lot and how screenplays are a staple in a Sean Payton offense, getting the ball to the backs. And I've I haven't even questioned. I flat out stated that the offensive line isn't necessarily built for getting outside screenplays. So the early on in this, one of the first plays was a screenplay. And how was it set up? It was set up on a double end around. Fake one way, fake the other way, dump off right. That was the only way they could get enough time to get the offensive line men out in position in order to run a screen. Jaleel McLaughlin's touchdown was on a screenplay. How many guys were out in front of him? So these are adjustments. These are the adjustments we talk about from week to week. How many guys were out in front of Jaleel McLaughlin on that touchdown? One. Who was it? We know who it is. There's only one guy that can get out there, Quinn Miners. So rather than scheming to get McGlinchey out wide right, to get Cushenberry out wide right, to get Powers left, to get Bowles left, what are they doing? They're scheming so they can hold the ball a little longer to get their offensive lineman in position, and they're scheming to get one-man screenplays, and Quinn Miners was out there and made a great block to help spring Jaleel McLaughlin. Those are the adjustments that you're having to make based on personnel in order to do some of the things you want to do on your offense. Those are sacrifices. Those aren't exactly what you want to have. It's not exactly how you want to do it. But it is adjustments that I noticed in the short passing game that Sean Payton has done from week to week. Talking about moving guys, Joey LaGuardia says, I'd pass on Simmons as well. If we're moving on to next year, which is how I was planning at 28-7, how I was planning the Scorched Earth podcast. All right, let's break this team down, and we'll break it down for you. Simmons is gone. I think it's like 18 cap hit next year against a 2 million dead cap. If you want to keep him, you're restructuring him, you're extending him. He won't play on that contract next year. I'm not saying he won't be a Denver Bronco, but if you want to move on, if you're going to try and rebuild, why are you rebuilding with a 31, 32-year-old safety? I don't see it. You're better off getting that cap money and using it in other places to try and fortify some other spots in your team, some other depths. Like I've said, you can get $3-6 million defenders. That's good money, especially in your 22 and your depth on your line, especially for him and a draft pick. Yeah, you probably want to do that, but he won't play on that contract next year. Would be very, very surprising. Lawrence, good to see you. So what up, guys? Finally a win. I think without Alexander Johnson, our middle is hurting. Wow, that's a callback. When's the last time AJ played for this team? Was that 2021? It's been a long time to try and replace him. I think the middle's okay. You watch how this team was winning, though. It was, I have to commit guys forward to protect against the run because I can't trust my front five to do it. So I have to put Sanders, I have to put Jewell, I have to put Singleton. In this case, Singleton and Sanders. I have to move them forward right away. Now the crossing patterns on my bootlegs are wide open. 10 yards across, they were wide open. It was pitch and catch. So for me, it's not necessarily the linebackers. It's the front of your defense. It's the front five on your defense that isn't able to stand up against the run on their own, that then opens up those crossing patterns behind the linebackers that was easy pitch and catch. Against Chicago, it was open and worked. Against the Dolphins, you were hitting Tyreek Hills of the world. Those are touchdowns instead of 20-yard gains. So again, but Alexander Johnson out there, that's quite the callback on AJ. Dom says the secondary is pretty weak. Yeah, there's guys there that you're playing that are not available to you. So you get Simmons, Riley Moss, and K'Wan Williams. There's 3 of your 5 in your secondary as potential starters that are out. And at best, you're talking Riley Moss as one of your next guys in your dime package. So, you're banged up back there. The safety position was kind of obvious. I said that from the beginning. When you're going in with Caden Stearns, who has 5 starts in his career because of injuries or whatnot, then you go to Kareem Jackson, who's been a liability in coverage for 2 years now. This is year 3. You wonder why you're having to go to your third safety. Yeah, that's man, that doesn't take a 4.0 to figure that one out. Let me see. We've gotten to Gary. Appreciate that one. Let's see. Let's hit Twitch here. We got our Twitch guy coming in. He says, not sure how to feel. This is Stash Brannigan over on Twitch. Not sure how to feel realistically. I expect 2 more wins this season. Would I trade 3 wins for the first pick? You're dang right I would. Yeah, if you're sitting there going 3 and if I'm only expecting 2 more wins and I say 3-14 for the number 1 pick, would I take that over 6-11? Yeah. That's where you get to the end. You get that meaningless win at the end, and you're like, why did you win this game? This league rewards you for losing. Why should people be surprised when teams intentionally lose? You are rewarded for losing. Wonder what I'm going to try to do at the end of the season then. Like I said, it's not rocket science. Cheese and the carrot and the stick, reward a team for losing, and they're going to want to lose. Appreciate you coming in, Stash. I'm going to scroll down towards the bottom here and start working my way up a little bit because there's some folks that have come in I want to say hello to, and we got a lot of people in the chat, and I'm afraid I haven't been able to get to everybody today by myself. I apologize, but I certainly appreciate you being here. And if you have any questions after the fact, leave them in the comments, especially on YouTube. I come back and I read all of the YouTube comments either the next day or later that same day and want to try and answer them. I'm sure I've misspoken at least twice since we've done this. So I like to clarify and be corrected. I'm okay with that. Lot of discussion here about the refs. Yeah, I get it. Refs, I know it's tough. Gabe Brock says Singleton is a great play on 4th down, but he's been awful this year. He was a great veteran on a veteran minimum, but paying so much was dumb. think Singleton's been okay. It'd take me a while on saying what is wrong with this team before I got to Alex Singleton. And I know that sacks, or tackles, those are not the greatest stat in the world. Someone's got to make them though. 4 solo tackles, 12 tackles. I'm sure he's leading the team in tackles. The middle linebacker, no matter who you put in that spot, would lead this team in tackles. But it would take me a while if I was going down problems with this team before I got to Alex Singleton. Doesn't mean he's the answer. And I think he's probably on a 1-year deal. I know they say, oh, Scotty signed 2 years. No, he didn't. Check out the guaranteed money. Check cap against dead cap to figure out what his deal is. So he's on I would say he's on a 2-year deal then. He signed a 3-year, $18 million deal with 9 guaranteed. So the third year is basically a wash. But next year, he's got a $7 million cap hit against a 5.7 dead cap hit. Now you can absorb that if you needed to. And a lot of that money is in base salary. It's not in bonus, so it's guaranteed salary. So if you were able to pawn him off for a 7th round pick, you could get some of that salary back next year. But I don't think he's the problem so much. What did y'all think about the 4th down call at the end of the game to not take the lead? In hindsight, that's a huge mistake. If you're looking at it, you hear coaches say all the time, if we can't get 1 yard, we don't deserve to win. I think you should probably take the lead in that case against a team that is struggling to get wins also. And they went for it on 4th and 1 at midfield in the first quarter at the end of the first. Damn near got stuffed there. And the commentator, I'm not sure who the commentators were on this game on the national broadcast, but comes up and says, boy, that was risky. That almost didn't work out. That certainly was a big risk. Well, it was a big risk in the first. It was a bigger risk in the 4th. And then I really like the play call coming out of that. You got a big momentum switch. Everybody's hyped. They're a little down. Let's take a shot. All of a sudden, you're in field goal range. That game was, I'm not going to say it was over, but I thought it was a great turnaround. And, BK Mark says the Bears coach had no respect for the Denver D. That's why they didn't kick it. Well, the other thought there is you're giving the team the ball with 2 minutes left, and I've got a 3-point lead, and I haven't stopped Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos in 3 straight series. That's the bigger thought. If I get a first down, I can burn out the clock and kick a field goal. I get it. But I think in this case, when 2 0-3 teams who are finding ways to lose, I probably would have gone with the safer one on that one. Because like I said earlier in the game, they ran a 4th and 1, and the Broncos thought they had them stopped. So going right up the middle right up the middle at the Broncos defense, yeah, it was questionable on that one. And they did have to run time off the clock, and if they make it, the game's over. That was a game-winning play. But like I said, if 2 0-3 teams, I'd put the pressure on the team that has had trouble winning games. Let me see. Talking about players to keep. Sorry, James. So Adrian Hayes, good to see you. Appreciate you being here. Says I would keep McGlinchey, Surtain, Williams, and maybe Judy. Get rid of everyone else. The guys that you signed to contracts this year will be guys that will be back. McGlinchey will be back. You have a little bit of option. Ben Powers, his numbers go up. McGlinchey's go up. Surtain, obviously, you're not going to get rid of. Wilson, you're going to have options that aren't very good, but he's playing his way to, you know what, I can keep Russell Wilson for a $35 million cap hit next year is better than having 2 $35 million dead cap hits in 24 and 25, where you play Wilson one more season and groom another quarterback if you're able to get one, or wait until you can draft one. You mentioned Judy. And then the young guys, obviously, you want to keep McLaughlin. There's plenty of guys here that you want to keep, but on the highest, you start looking at the highest paid guys. If I go over to Spot Rack and switch this to salary cap by 2024, Your top cap hits in 2024 are Russell Wilson. That's going to be a tough one to do something with. Garrett Bowles. He's not playing on that contract next year, one way or the other. His number will go down. It's a $20 million $20 million cap hit next year. You have flexibility there. Zach Allen, you're stuck with. His number balloons up to 19. Mike McGlinchey, you've got him next year. His number balloons from 6 to 18 and a half on his cap hit next year, with a dead cap of 29. So you've got him for another year. Justin Simmons, you've got flexibility. Cortland Sutton, Randy Gregory, Tim Patrick. You actually have a little flexibility with Ben Powers. His is 15 against 9. DJ Jones, you've got $9 million of flexibility. Those are your big money ones that are coming in. Most of those guys will either be gone or not be playing on the same contract next year. So this is going to be, for team building and general manager in that aspect of things, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch how this team is built over the next 12 months. Coach Chris coming in, Broncos Orange. Appreciate you. And this is going to be about the last thing we do today. We're coming up on 50 minutes. So if you've got any burning desires, get them in the chat here. And I'll see if I can get to them. But Coach Chris says, okay, the defense is bad. The offense play calling and the efforts the wide receivers are putting in is suspect. The play calling is elementary. Sutton and Judy seem to have lost their desire to play for this team. That goes back to the comment at the beginning. We were talking about tanking or not tanking. And if Sean Payton, I didn't see the quote, if he said, if we decide we want to win any more games, this is what he's talking about. If he decides these guys want to put in the effort, if they just want to go through the motions. Chris, I wasn't watching the perimeter. I was watching the lines. I'm going to start because Pat Surtain, we talked about that earlier. If Pat Surtain's effort is going to be in question, I'm going to watch him off the ball. I'm going to see how he's doing in run support. I'm going to see those type of things. I want to see Sutton and Judy when they're blocking. Are they running routes if they're not the one or two guys? How are they coming off the line? How are they trying to beat their press? I will start watching the perimeter because we've done enough analysis on the lines of scrimmage that I do want to see. The phrase I've used all the time is, they say you can't measure someone's heart. That's true. You can damn well sure tell if they've got it or not, if they're putting forth the effort. I can't measure it, but I know what's going on in the ticker here, if they've got it or not. And I will keep an eye on that on the perimeter so I can, I'll pass judgment for whatever it's worth and help contribute to the show, just like you just did, my friend. I certainly appreciate it. Michael Ranquillo says, great show today, Scott, on Broncos for Breakfast. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I certainly appreciate y'all coming in. Make sure you check back in tonight with the Mile High Huddle crew. The priests, I'll be in the background taking part, making sure everything's going okay. I'll be producing tonight for Zach and Chad. They will be back at 6 o'clock Mountain Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And after that, I can't do that much math to figure out the other time zones. So appreciate you coming in, Michael. Greg Smith, thank you very much. Pearl Heater, thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming in and joining me today. Look forward to being back with Nick tomorrow morning as well. To my super chatters, I want to thank you, Troy, Gary, Unique Prepping, Coach Chris, Michael Ranquillo, I'm sure, and everybody that has come in. And Keith says, best win in over a year, a way to come back and win Broncos. And again, if nothing else, we still suck. We're still crappy, old Major League. This team, they didn't give up. That's something to root for. I know we're grasping at straws. I know it. But it's something to root for. This team didn't give up. I'm not going to give up on them until they give up on us. That's how I would fan it. If you're out there giving your best, even if you're not good enough, if you're out there trying, by God, I'll stand up and freaking cheer and support you. That's how I fan. I'm not going to tell you how to fan, but I think there were some good things to see yesterday from this team in a 28-7 comeback win against the Chicago Bears. Y'all come back tomorrow. Nick and I will be back at 9:30 Eastern, 7:30 Mountain. Thanks for hanging out with me today.